Hi, I'm Shahram Rasoolzadeh and I'm going to present our work Prince version 2 that is accepted to SAC 2020. It's a joint work with the other 9 colleagues that are listed here. During the last decade, we have seen a very rapid deployment of secure microcontrollers in Internet of Things, automotive, and cloud infrastructures. Various technology fields, including industrial automation, robotics, as well as fifth-generation mobile network, urge for real-time operation and require low-latency execution while preserving highest levels of security. Low power and low energy requirements are of the equal importance, especially when considering the Internet of Things market, where the majority of devices are in a low power mode during most of their lifetime. Those devices occasionally wake up, carry out a quick computation, and then go back to sleep. The ultimate goal of low-latency block cipher design is to encrypt a block of data in a single clock cycle. While being low power and low energy together with low-latency decryption are in the next priorities. Hardware encryption is the main and the first application of low-latency ciphers that has been used in the PC world for a long time already. Some examples include IBM's Secure Blue, Intel's SGX, and AMD's SEV encryption and integrity mechanisms. Prince is the first publicly known low-latency family of block ciphers that got scrutinized by the cryptographic community. It is designed by certain European cryptographers and was presented in Asia Crypt 2012. As a result, Prince has been deployed in several products, including LPC55S of NXP Semiconductors, which is a family of highly constrained general-purpose IoT microcontrollers. The cipher follows the FX construction together with the alpha reflection property. The FX construction is introduced in 1996 by Kilian and Rogaway, that in this construction the core cipher is protected by pre- and post-whitening keys. While the post-whitening key is dependent on the pre-whitening key, the key for core encryption is independent of the whitening keys. Besides, a cipher has alpha reflection property if the decryption with key K1 is the same as the encryption with key K1 plus alpha. Prince core follows this property. Therefore, for Prince decryption, we need to swap the whitening keys and XOR the core's key with the alpha. In the following, we will see how Prince designers reached to this alpha reflection property. I first quickly recall Prince's general structure and the round function before giving the updated parts for PRINCev2. Prince has a 64-bit block size and 128-bit key size, that the key is separated into two 64-bit parts, namely K0 and K1. K0 is used for whitening keys and K1 for the round keys. It includes 5 forward rounds, a middle round, and then 5 backward rounds. This figure shows the structure for Prince core. While R shows 1 forward round, our inverse shows 1 backward round. In other meaning, each backward round is the inverse of the forward round. Besides, the round constants are chosen in a way that the difference in mirrored round constants is a fixed value, alpha. Also, the middle round is an involutive operation. Therefore, if you start from the beginning for an encryption or you start from the end for a decryption, the only difference is the used key. That is, while in encryption you use K1, in decryption, you need to replace it by K1 plus alpha. Therefore, it is possible to change the encryption circuit to a decryption one by using multiplexers to choose the correct key for the computing. In Prince, the state is denoted by a 4 times 4 matrix of nibbles. The round function itself applies an S-box layer followed by a linear layer consisting of an involutive mixed column operation and the shift rows. Note that the S-box in the Prince family can be chosen from one of the 8 affine equivalent classes with the minimum linearity and the minimum uniformity and ANF degree of 3 for all the component functions. Therefore, the forward and the backward rounds are defined as these given equations, and note that the forward and the backward rounds are the inverse of each other. The middle round in the Prince is a keyless involutive operation that includes 2 S-box layers and 1 mixed column operation in the between. The Prince designers claim that the cipher is secure against an attacker who has access to D chosen or non-plaintext ciphertext pairs and computation power of T such that the multiplication of T and D is upper bounded by 2 to the 126. Note that this upper bound is general security bound for any FX construction with the alpha reflection property. In 2018, NIST published a minimum security requirement for lightweight ciphers that are providing 112-bit security, while the attacker has access to at most 2 to the 50 bytes of chosen data. While the security level of Prince is sufficient for most of the mentioned application, it cannot reach the NIST security requirement. In this work, we show how to modify the Prince to reach the security level by the NIST while minimizing the induced overhead, especially in a situation where Prince is already deployed. To do this, our first design rationale was to leave the round function and, not less important, the number of rounds at almost unchanged and only change the key scheduling. Note that the main reason for keeping the number of rounds unchanged is mainly because of having more rounds will necessarily increase latency and cause an overhead loss in the performances. As we can improve the security margin in Prince, we believe that this is the correct choice to make. For the key scheduling, we restricted ourselves by the requirement of limiting the overhead of implementing decryption on top of the encryption. This implies that a complicated key update is not a proper choice, but a simple, up-to-date constant, and periodic key scheduling is the best. As we explained, in Prince, to overcome this criteria, they used alpha reflection property. In Prince version 2's key scheduling, we opted for one of the simplest possible options, iterated round keys. The only compromise from the goal of leaving the round functions unchanged is the middle round. Some attacks against Prince take explicit advantage of symmetry and the keyless middle round. To make those attacks less of a concern, it seems to be a good trade-off to spend some additional XOR on the critical path and make it key-dependent. In PRINCEv2's middle round, while the previous operations are kept, we add 2 key additions in the input and the output of the mixed column operation. Therefore, it is not an involution or keyless anymore. Similar to Prince, one option is to choose the round constants in such a way that their difference with the mirrored round constant to be a constant value alpha. Removing the RC0 to RC5 values from the round constant trail, we would reach to this trail of 14 round keys. Then the alpha reflection for PRINCEv2 would be that the decryption with keys K0 and K1 is the same as encryption with keys K1 plus alpha and K0 plus alpha. But this is not a good property because it leads to a weak key property that if the difference of K0 and K1 is equal to alpha, then the encryption is an involution, and this can make serious security problems in the most of the mode of operations. Therefore, we decided to change the difference of mirrored round constants alternatively between alpha and beta. Then we don't have the alpha reflection property anymore. But instead, starting from the end of this trail, we can replace K0 by K1 plus beta and K1 by K0 plus alpha to use the encryption for the decryption process. As you see in this tray, the first 7 round keys are the same as the first 7 round keys for decryption. But the second half of the round keys are different with the constant value alpha plus beta. Therefore, to combine encryption and decryption of PRINCev2 using a control signal named decryption that chooses to encrypt or decrypt, we first swap between K0, K1 and K1 plus beta, K0 plus alpha. Then we add this constant value to the second half of the round keys. So, if this figure shows the encryption of PRINCev2 can be easily changed to combine encryption and decryption by implementing the swap function, which actually is built by multiplexers, and adding this the constant value of alpha plus beta to the second half of the round keys. In the implementation, we first compare the PRINCev2 design to the original Prince concerning the minimum latency and minimum area achieved by unrolled implementations. Since the gate count and the delay number depend on the particular technology used, we provide synthesis results from 4 different commercial standard cell libraries. This redundancy minimizes the influence of a single technology on the comparison's interpretations. Note that we distinguish between the circuits that can only encrypt and the circuits that can both encrypt and decrypt. The first interesting observation is that all 4 distinct circuits perform decidedly similar in terms of minimum latency. The difference falls in the range of single-digit picoseconds in several cases. As a second step, we evaluate the minimum area that can be achieved by the unrolled circuit. And in contrast to the latency results, a consistent overhead for the minimum area can be observed for the PRINCev2 circuits. This is expected due to the additional operations in the middle round and the more complex key multiplexing to decide between encryption and decryption. Finally, we compare Prince and PRINCev2 to other lightweight block ciphers proposed as low latency or low energy ciphers, namely Mantis, Karma, and Midori block cipher. It is noteworthy to mention that Mantis and Karma are 2 equal block ciphers, while Prince and PRINCev2 are not. We have analyzed all these ciphers in 2 modes each, only encryption and both encryption and decryption, in NAND-gate 45 nanometer and NAND-gate 15 nanometer open cell libraries, and evaluate their area versus latency trade-off. The result for 45 nanometer technology is depicted in this figure, and as the results in these 2 libraries, Prince and PRINCev2 are the most suitable choices for high-speed encryption as long as a tweak input is not required. As you see, all Prince and PRINCev2 outperform. As you see, all Prince and Prince version 2 variants outperform the other ciphers both in terms of minimum latency and minimum area. Finally, about the security analysis, we analyzed the security of PRINCev2 not only based on the previously published analysis of Prince, but also using new tools and new attacks. We analyzed its security against these attacks, and as of a result, we claim that there is no attack with data complexity less than 2 to the 50 bytes and time complexity less than 2 to the 112 encryptions. We emphasize that we do not consider the related key attacks in our claim. In our analysis, we provide several new results, including a linear attack and the 6-round integral distinguisher based on the division property, a more precise evaluation of boomerang attack, and a new 10-round damage Seljuk meet-in-the-middle attack. This table provides an overview of our analysis. In summary, PRINCev2 is at least as secure as Prince against various dedicated attacks and provides better generic security. Note that for attacks in this table, except for the meet-in-the-middle, the attacks on Prince apply to Prince version 2 with similar complexities and vice versa. However, the complexity of the attacks listed for Prince version 2 is higher than permitted by the Prince security claim. As a summary of this talk, we presented Prince version 2 family of block ciphers that provides more security for almost no overhead. Besides, we provide detailed security analysis of both Prince and Prince version 2, and we also showed that one can improve the security level of some lightweight primitives with just minimal modifications on the ciphers. Thank you for watching this video.